Welcome back into Any Given Garage, or in this case, any given driveway, because the truck doesn't fit in the garage. So we're back working on the wife's tow rig, Blackie, because about a year and a half ago, I had the ball joints replaced. You guys saw me do the lift, or drop the lift, and took it to a national mechanic tire chain place, and they told me the ball joints are bad. I had trips coming up, whatever, so just had them do it, took their word for it, and it hasn't driven right since. Between their shop and a couple of other shops determined that something in the steering is binding. So you turn the steering wheel, and like your normal car, you let go of the steering wheel, and the tires go back straight. This one just stays. You can just turn in a circle forever without touching the steering wheel, and it's not good. It's really weird going down the road because it just zigzags the whole time. So the fix that the last shop told me was basically start with different steering components. They recommended start with the ball joints and start replacing until things get fixed. And I noticed the shop used a brand of ball joints and end links and all that kind of stuff that I always thought was a good brand, but it sounds like they got bought out years ago and their quality's just gone downhill. So we're upgrading to some better stuff, more OEM kind of things. So that's what we're working on today is replacing ball joints again. I've already started and gotten the driver's side done. We didn't film that one because it took the better part of a weekend, mostly because of trips to the store. I think I'm at 5 trips to the store so far to get tools and parts and whatnot. So now we can be a little bit more like, hey, this is what you need. This is what you want to have. Don't make this mistake like I did. So here's what we got. So here's the driver's side. And part of those trips to the store was all this new brake hardware. Because doing the ball joints, you want to use a ball joint press, right, for these guys up in here, pressing them in and out of that knuckle. And to make that easier, I was like, oh, you know what would be great? An impact wrench, a 1/2-inch one. So I went and got one of those. And then I happened to be tightening basically these caliper bolts on the old caliper. And I was like, I'm going to be lazy, and I'm going to use an impact that I had handy. Didn't have the 3/8 one sitting here. I had the 1/2-inch one sitting there. I was like, it'll be close enough. Went, hit it, gave it a couple of ugga-duggas, not really thinking about it. Went, ooh, maybe I should check the torque. Tried the torque, and I think it was actually the lower bolt, but this caliper bolt, right there, snapped it right off with the torque wrench. So now the caliper bolt was stuck inside the caliper bracket, and this pin is removable. But in the old calipers, it was seized. So 3 trips to Summit later, we've got new brakes. But yeah, so this is where we're at with this guy. We've got new upper, and if we can get down in here, where's that? Lower ball joints. And then the other thing we did, because we got them in the kit, was this axle seal here. And if it'll focus and y'all can see it, the axle seal on the inside of all the hub stuff. You can tell they didn't replace them when we go look at the other side when they did the ball joints at the shop. So we replaced them, which took another trip to the store, one of the trips to Summit, to get the special axle seal tool, which I highly, highly recommend rather than the DIY version. But yeah, so let's get started on the other side. Oh. All right, so the first thing we get to do here is take off the tire. Obviously, right, you can't work on anything behind it. So here's that impact gun I went and got because it was the only one that was in stock in town. And yeah, did all the damage, but when we get to the ball joint part, it needs it. All right, tires out of the way. it's easier to get to the brakes once the steering's loose. So let's remove that guy. All right. And something I did do to make life a little easier is I started soaking all this stuff with the PB Blaster the other day. And again this morning. So it's had about a week's worth of that on there. I don't suppose that's loose. No. No, we're gonna have to get the hammer, which I didn't bring out here. Great. Before I kick them, I'll lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Let's go put those with the tire. Maybe we'll get lucky and these are gonna go back on the tire today. I'm not that lucky. So here's what we're looking at. This nut here is a 21. Luckily, this is all looks a little rusty, but it wasn't too bad. Even these ones aren't too bad. They weren't, excuse me, they weren't too bad on the other side. So yeah, I'm gonna take a hammer to this guy, try to pop that up and out. I put it back on the other side already. Can sneak a vision through there somewhere? Yeah, over there. It's already back on, so it won't fall completely off. And then I'm gonna be super stoked when the ball joints don't solve the problem and I gotta come take all that apart again. Yeah, but it's easier to get to all the caliper bolts and stuff when the tires aren't turned, and you can move this freely. So we're gonna undo that first. Oh, okay, don't want to do that too much. There we go. That bit boy loose. Oh, that's tight. Oh, that super sucks. So basically, I gotta go and do the other side again. Take that completely off. Fun, 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 fun. I don't think adjusting the steering's gonna move it that far. Alrighty. So the problem we're having here is this track bar steering arm chingadera that ties the two sides together. Right here is hitting where the panhard bar goes across and connects, so I can't lift this completely out. So I'm gonna go take that apart again on the other side. Awesome. Okie dokie. Let's try, yeah, again. Now that will hopefully be able to move. Yeah, kind of like that. Just for support, let's just go set the other side back together. That'll do. Now, this whole thing will turn more freer. Oh, it's the new rears. Yeah, had to make 2 trips to Summit for the brakes. Because when I went through the packages, the calipers for the rear, you notice you got your input, and then on the back side here is the bleed screw. On the rears, they're both kind of on the side like that. And both rear calipers had the bleed screw for the right side caliper on the top. Both were the same. So it would have been on the bottom on the passenger side. And it took 6 sets at Summit before we found any left-hand ones, and they're from a different set. So we'll see how it goes. Let's turn that to take it off mode. This will slide off of there, which would be way too handy. Yeah, no, why would it? What I don't understand is what it hangs up on. Oh, I know what it hangs up on. Here's these little rivets on the pads. Inside the actual piston, it's a circle, so it's, yep. All right, do we have the strength? Squeeze, maybe. Gotcha. Yeah, so that circle is what's hanging up. Okay, let's put that on that shelf right there. It's fairly convenient. Springs come off the pads. Those pads are pretty close to needing replaced anyway, so overall this whole ordeal is not the end of the world. And the other part of the other reason why we're changing the brakes out, so wife was telling me that, especially when she's towing, I don't notice it as much without towing, but I did notice it some, is the pulsing, like stuff's at around. It's way too loose. So it's actually not the worst thing in the world to change it out. And I know what you're thinking, because I think we've done it before. You're using chrome sockets on an impact? Yes, I am. One, they're right here. They're convenient. And number two, the actual caliper mounting bracket bolts take a 21-inch socket, and I don't, or 21-inch, wow, that'd be a big socket, 21-millimeter socket. And I don't have that in impact yet. And I don't feel like going to the store again. So I'm already 2 weeks into this project. So we're gonna use the chrome ones, and then we're gonna do the safety squints and hope it doesn't break. Oh, that's definitely bad. Or it doesn't do that and round the crap out of the bolt. Okay, well, today just got significantly worse. Yep, way worse. Well, for everybody at home, that there, I don't know if that's focused. Let's see. That there is why you're not supposed to use the chrome sockets with an impact. So that top caliper bolt, because I wasn't paying 100% attention as I was talking, wasn't on there quite square, and I zipped at it unsquare, which started rounding it, shoved it back on there square, routed the crap out of this bolt and split the socket. Hopefully that's the last 21 I need for this particular project. I think it is. And I'm gonna go get a big giant adjustable hammer and pray that I can still get enough of the flats on here. And then if nothing else, we have to go get new bolts from the store and a new socket. Awesome. Super awesome. Oh, thank goodness. All right. So, for everybody's future reference, a 13/16 is really close to a 21 millimeter. Oh, I'm so glad that got out of there. Still gonna have to go to the store, but we can wait till later now. Maybe. I might did a too good a job there. I'm gonna do this now. There we go. Hopefully it didn't damage the ratchet, because I just do dumb stuff. Definitely don't do what I do at home. Learn from what I do. Don't do it. Do it better. Ugh. So here's the rounding on that nut that I was talking about when it split the socket. Cool beans. Ugh. Ow. That's tight. That's not what I want. Undo. There we go. Haha. Okay. There you go. Super stoked about that. Going to the hardware store today. Okay. Now that that's all undone, brake rotor off. Don't need that anymore. And now we can take all this stuff apart. Okie dokie. Well, we're back from the store. And now, since they didn't have the one socket, we have a bunch of sockets. So we can get things apart. But fun fact, you have to have your tools registered at Lowe's to be able to return them and get them warrantied. And I got this box so long ago, I don't have any of that. All right, so now take this ring out. Now that guy comes right on out of there. It's got a little grease in there. Left my paper towels in the garage again. Rad. Okay. That's a little groundy. Okay. Now there's a snap ring on this axle shaft here. And I tried the little, like the little $5 set, right? Multiple interchangeable heads. It's in the garage. And it doesn't have enough spread for this ring. I haven't ground it down, kind of made it my own, and it still didn't. So here we are with the Harbor Freight version. And this kit, little spendy, like 70 bucks or something like that, on sale. It's got a bunch of different sizes. It's got the internal and external ones. So yeah, it's gonna be worth it. Because the other side, it was like some weird combination of those pliers and a screwdriver and another wrench and like fingers and toes, and it barely got out of there. So now with this guy, hopefully that was 10,000% easier than the other side. The other side took me an hour of fighting to do that. That was worth 70 bucks. And now we're done with them for the day. Probably. Unless I get all this back together. So yeah, that was worth it. Now we've got a round washer. A hexagon washer. And another round washer, or shim if you will. Those go in that particular order. Should have put gloves on. The other side wasn't this greasy either. That's interesting. So next, to get the rest of this off, there's 4 nuts on the back side of here that are the back side to these. So we're going to get those after I degreasify a little bit. We're going to use our new swivel sockets. There. The next thing we're doing here, show you, is we're going to take this whole hub off of the knuckle, and that, if I can get the camera back in here and still be able to see what it's doing, are these screws or nuts right up in there. There's our ball joint. That's the back side of that hub. There's that crappy seal that didn't get replaced the last time. So yeah, so now we're going to go on the back side and take those apart. All right, I know people bag on them, but good Lord, Harbor Freight is convenient for some of this. Oh, what is that? It feels like a 17. Does this have a 17? It does. Like, this set's 100 and some odd bucks for these swivelly ones. I happen to find it on sale, so I was like, screw it. I can't beat 35% off. Probably. It's not a 17. Let's try a 19. So when I was there, after I went to Lowe's, 19. Well, it's going to be that 21 that we needed. And found out that they wouldn't warranty my socket. Well, look there, 21. All right. Just went to the Harbor Freight and got the stuff I needed. So I got a set of like straight normal impacts. And I got the swivelly ones because they're semi-convenient for this. Now we got to get the little sensor off the top. And I found, was it a 5? Worked gooder for that? Yeah. 5mm works gooder for this little bolt. So you have the option of undoing it down here, or if you follow this line all the way up and here, right on the backside right here is a clip to disconnect, but I didn't feel like messing with that, and it was worth cleaning. All right, so now we still have the backing plate here that's somewhat in the way, but it'll kind of work as it works its way out of here. Now, that little guy comes out. You see how there's a magnet? See how grungy that is? So yeah, that's why I do it this way, so I can clean that later. Now, that whole hub comes off. Ooh. That could probably be part of our problem. You guys can see this. This is part of a seal or something that goes on here. That's super not bueno. I don't have that seal. I've got this seal. I don't have this seal. It smells burned. That's a busted wire that's in there. So we're going to be doing some Googling to see. That's a lot of little metallic parts. Like if it was a wire wound up, that's a bunch of pieces of that on this wire here. And this is like sticking out over here. It's caved in over here. The other side did not look like this. Yeah, we're going to end up back at the parts store. Hopefully not buying a whole new hub. But we'll see. That's probably, remember when I said this was turning kind of like, it sounded different when it turned? I bet that's why. What's funny is this side had a lot more grease, but had this. The other side had way less grease, and the inside here was a little bit rusty. Very, very interesting. All right, let's go put this in the garage out of the way, because I don't need it yet. I'm not excited about that. That's gonna make for an extra long project. So the next thing we got to do is get this whole axle shaft out of there. I was really hoping it was going to be easy. I really needed a gimme. Oh yeah, there's also this little spacer washer guy. Now on mine, the grooves were in, so I'm going to put it back that way eventually. This bad boy out of here. I'm not worried about that seal because I'm going to replace that seal. There we go. That was also 1000% easier than the other side, but I might have gotten the technique down better this time. So the last one, I had the knuckle turn so I could really see what I was doing. And I think that might have had, you know, binding effects. Ow! So now with this one, because I was planning on replacing this seal I'm going to show you in a second, I just dug behind it with this guy. On the other side, I was trying not to hurt it. Now that I've gotten it open, I can see it better. This one, I just gave her the beans. So this is that seal I was talking about. I just got behind that and pushed on it because this one's broken just like the other one was. You can see that this one's broken just like the other one was. So clearly it got replaced. Not. U-joints, it seems like it's in decent shape though. Now this being the passenger side is the long axle. Try not to let it drag. Okay, a little bit of rust in there. Probably nothing too terrible. We'll try to clean that out. Put some grease back on there, clean this up a little bit. Put something on it. But yeah, so there's that axle. Cool beans. Go put this out of the way in the garage. Ooh, BRB. Yeah. All right. Good news is that gear oil looked and smelled good and clean and new. So there's that win, I guess. Okay. Now, like that's still so hard to turn. I wonder if this is the side that was just jacked up and causing all my problemos. Cool. Snap ring up here. Or not snap ring. Cotter pin thing? Yeah, sure. There we go. Better. Ow! There's a bumper there. I don't know if you guys saw that. Did you see that bumper attack me? Anywho. So another trip to the store on the first half was for these sockets. They're both a 33, I think, a 33 millimeter, more or less, generally, on whatever these Moog ball joints are. Stock, I don't know. Probably about the same as what my new stock ones are. Stock, I think. So, again, I went to Harbor Freight looking for just some sockets. That's a lot of dog hair. Came up with these big mammy jammas from Quinn. Again, 35% off, made it nice and easy. I think it was 1 5/16. That's a little looser than I'd like, but it's on there. But what I love this, right? So you got your 3/8 inch ratchet. You got your 1/2 inch ratchet. You're like, oh yeah. Yeah, Ugga Dugga here. Look at that 3/4. Yeah. More power. So, anywho. And if you're wondering like I did, this Quinn brand versus the, what's the other one? Icon, right? Icon from Harbor Freight. According to the Google, the big difference for most of it is this is chromoly. Some of the smaller ones they say are vanadium, right? Was a little cheaper for the impact versus the chromoly, which is a little tougher. But anywho, yeah, this whole kit. Oh God, yeah. If y'all can see this whole kit, all the way up to 2-inch. With a 3/4 inch drive, it's got this wobbler thingamajigger, couple of extensions, bunch of sockets. It's like 100 some odd bucks. No, take that back. This was like 2 something. On sale, it was 1 something. So you don't have to have the snap-on Milwaukee, whatever, pick your fancy freaking brand tools. This works. Anyway, we're going to leave those on a couple of threads. And now we're going to take our trusty mini sledge. Job Smart. That's a Tractor Supply brand. Works just good. Just like that. Ah, that smells like burnt gear oil. Or gear. Grease. Burnt grease. I can smell the gear oil from in there. That seal's bad. That's got some dirt in there. Anywho, now that that's loose, take that one off. Take that one off. There we go. And you can see where those 4 nuts were that held that hub on earlier. But yeah, so that seal, is that seal split? Maybe it's supposed to do that. But like, that seems like it's way too loose. But what do I know? All right, now we're gonna go in the garage. We're gonna take our Harbor Freight set, or ball joint press, and we're gonna press these ball joints out and then clean this junk up a little bit. All right, just like that, it's been like 26 hours. Yeah, yesterday ended with a ton of Google searching, frantic Google searching, looking for parts. So the problem we have, other than all of this, workbench, sort of a cart we can work on, workbench over there. It's all covered in junk, all the parts. So we're working on the floor, but what y'all couldn't see yesterday was this hub. And somewhere around the edge, I think like right in there, there was like a wire sticking out. And if you can see, right in here is like caved in. And on this side, probably can't tell, but it's pushed out and it's like, it's flush with that surface there. So a lot of Googling. This is not a serviceable deal for the most part, at least not with the abilities that I have. So we had to frantically search for a new one. And so that led me to the fourth or fifth trip to Summit. Never been there before last week. I've been there 5 times in the last week. It's crazy. So we've got all new hubs to put in here. We could have continued with that, but without those yet. But the searching and all that, by the time I was done searching, it was time to be like, you know what, clean up, dinner, whatever. So yeah, so now we're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to get back to pressing out those ball joints out of the steering knuckles. I want to start by taking off these Zerk fittings, especially if you were going to reuse the ball joints for some reason. But life's just easier without that on there. And that one is smaller. Gotta go find a different wrench. Adjustable hammer. There we go. Take those guys out. Okay, don't need those because these are going to be garbage for me. Now the bottom one has that another snap ring, which again, it's easier to deal with proper snap ring pliers. So I'm trying to put this up on end, but I want to be very careful of this. I actually have spares that came with the ball joint kits, but that seems like something that's not going to come out willingly. So unless I have to, I'm not going to try. Oh my god. So much easier with these. So these are what I'm talking about versus this. All right, these were designed with a little bit of a flare. All right, these guys, you can take this apart. There's multiple heads. They only get so wide. And I even took the grinder to them to customize them and make it so they open wider, because they used to stop like there. And that just wasn't enough. There's too much play. You can see these pins are not well attached. These were $5. So whatever. That was well worth the price of them. And you really only need a set or two, I guess, depending on what you need. You don't have to have all the fancy tools and the whatnots. It works. All right, now we're going to start by pressing out the lower one. And that is why we bought this guy. But you don't have to have that. You can get your ball joint press, right? You can rent one of those or borrow it, whatever, from Napa, O'Reilly, whatever part stores around you that'll do that. Use it for the day. This is like the 4th time I've used it, so it's worth it. All right, that cup fits around there. We need the attachment so that that goes like that. All right. Where'd my socket go? Now this is really why I bought this bad boy. We're going to give it a number 1 and see what happens. Oh, let's go to 3. Like, oh, holy crap, that was easy. All right, you can see I've put this in my vise before. And because my vise isn't actually, oh, that might be too deep in there. Row SpaghettiOs. That's not so good. Maybe I shouldn't have used this piece, or should have stopped a little sooner. Okay. That actually wasn't going to help at all. The way I did that. That might work. First, though, where's something? Ha! Work smarter, not harder. I always get that backwards. So you can see how much more simple that was, other than that getting a little stuck up in there, but that's okay. But anyways, I've put this in the vise before, but my vise isn't attached to anything. So using the wrench was significantly more difficult. And yes, the bolts to attach the vise to the workbench would have been cheaper than this, but I'm stubborn. I think we talked about that. Okay, so now Is that one good? Should I go back to this one? That one will actually work. A little less risky of it being a little off kilter. Okay, we're going to stick with the same one. Now, the reason you do the bottom one first is so that you can go through that hole with the press. Is that in view for y'all? Yeah. We can even come this way a little bit. But so freaking easy. So easy. Again, like most of this, these, maybe even that, like you can rent that. You don't have to own it. I just happened to. Because I knew I was going to do this more than once. And I'm weird and I like to own stuff. More wire junk. But there's our old ball joints. Done. Trash. Garbage. Alright, so now I'm gonna take, I got some light sandpaper. I'm gonna clean up in here. It's a little rusty. Clean up this surface right there. Normally I would like to wire wheel and paint this whole thing, but these are just so rusty, grimy, and whatever. I'm just not. I don't have the patience for it anymore. I'm gonna clean out in here, clean this nasty crap out, and then we're gonna put it back together. And it's gonna work way better. Something y'all didn't see that I highly recommend. So I noticed when I was cleaning all the grease out of in here, the little vacuum port that goes to that seemed to be kind of clogged with grease. So I took the air compressor, lined it up there, blew it out, and it actually blew a plug of grease out of there. So I'd be willing to bet the 4x4 on that hub wasn't even working well, if at all. Let's put some new ball joints in here. So here's our new ball joints. This is all a kit here from Spicer. I think that's your part number. Yeah, sure, but some combination of that. Had upper and lowers for both sides, new rings. It's actually got that new valve, but like I said, that's probably rusted in there enough that I don't want to. When that snaps off, it's just a headache. It's not worth it for me. That works. I know it's clear because I just blew all the junk out of it, so it'll work fine. The kit also has the seals for the axle when we get to that. But first, ball joints. All right, here goes a whole lot of nothing. take a look, see. All right, our rubber grommet here looks good. Not broken. That's a lot. See how much snugger that is in that other one? Looks like we're all the way down. Beauty, eh? All right, so the upper one's in. Now for the lower. I want a slightly smaller cup than that. Alrighty, here we go. It's gonna need more. So our determining factor here is gonna be, that all looks good. Hopefully I put those in the right way. Pretty sure I did. The determining factor is gonna be this ring here. And if, that's tight, our snap ring will go in there. We probably should have done one more wipeout in there. But it fits all the way around. So that was as many ugga-duggas as I'm comfortable giving that. Let's go find a screwdriver. We're just gonna give this guy a little tap, tap, taparoo into the groove. Oh, I just heard it like click in. I don't know if y'all could hear that. Ooh, ooh. Nice little metal shard, that's nice. Ugh. All right, ta-da. That guy's ready to go back in. But considering that time, it might be time to call it a day. Maybe we'll clean this axle up a little bit first. And then that'll be it. We'll be back tomorrow. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is remove this seal here, and then we're going to knock this one off. This guy, hopefully we can get enough of an edge somewhere. I screwed myself here. Yeah, I might have to flip it over first. All right, so we're going to move to this one here. For this guy, if I can do this without smashing a finger again, just knock this off. There we go. And you start to see that shiny part there? That's what we're looking for. There we go. Old nasty seal off. Clearly it was broken because that should have been one piece. It was not. So we'll just clean up this surface right here a little bit. That light sandpaper. Some fresh grease. The new seal, we'll use the shop press to press on. This one, let's see if we can go like this. And get just the lip of this guy. There we go. Ta-da! Same thing, clean up that bearing surface. New seal. And we're ready to rock and roll. So I don't know if this is going to work. So we've got our new seal here to go on, and we've got our seal install tool. And if we want to use this in the press, we can go up a little bit, but not far. The problem is, because this is the long axle, and I don't have this press up on a stand, I don't have the space to get the short shaft up underneath and still have room for the axle, because the angle it has to be at to get this straight up and down. On the other one, because this was short, it just hung. I don't think this is going to work, so we might have to do this the other way. So you can use this and just drive it on with a hammer, but I was really hoping to avoid doing that. But that might be how we have to go. Do one last clean here. Make sure this surface is as nice as we can make it. Brand new seal. All nice and pretty. It goes this way. This seems different than the other one. Why does this seem different? Oh, it's because that you see that through it. It's been a day, y'all. That goes there. Slide that guy on. Now, we hope that the vise is attached to the table well enough to do this. Maybe we give it a little something to give it a little lubricity. Okie dokie. Well, we got our setup in the shop press now. And I can for 100% certainty tell you that this is super sketchy, and I 10 out of 10 do not recommend. But it's how we're going to make it work. Oh yeah. As soon as it gives, it just slides on like freaking butter. All right, I think that's bottomed out. So the tool hits the surface of that guy. Once it is done, if you guys can see this, it's got these ridges in it. So it stops with the perfect distance here for that washer that's going to go in there. All right. Piece of cake. Strained myself lifting that up onto the jack stands, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, that is not very even. We're going to try that again. That takes up that little bit of extra space. There we go. Let's give that guy a little bit of loving, see if that helps. Yeah, that's much better now. I'll lose that. I like that way better. Right, now we'll put this that way. All right. So I'm looking at this gap here. All the way around looks much more even now. And there we go. I'm just going to clean up some of this blue paint that was in there that came off. And we'll be done. Very nice, tight press fit. Now the last piece we got to do is put this little dust seal on here. We're going to do it again. Delicious. One last little clean up around this edge, because I'm sure they got dirty with everything else we just did to put this other seal on. That guy slides on there. Need a hammer. Now this one, if we just pull the seal back a little bit, let's work around a circle. Tap it on. There we go. And now, dirty, it's okay. Our axle shaft is ready to go back in. Whew. So axle's done. Ball joints are on. We have new hubs because that old hub was just destroyed. We should be ready to go. Let's get this. Let's get this bad boy attached. We need your nuts. Here. Cleaned up, ready to go. Probably would have been easier to do the top one. Okay, here's our hub back. We just gotta tighten it down. Bring out the I wasn't asking wrench. But you don't have to have the whole giant wrench set. You can buy just the socket to work with your normal socket set. I just happened to get there when it was on sale. I went, screw it. I'll buy the whole 9 yards. All right, so that top one with this new ball set, it's 1 1/8 inches. This one's 1 5/16 inches. If I can get the wrench in there. So So to get this inch and 5/16 was fun, right? Super fun. And the reason we have the I wasn't asking wrench, because in order to find an inch and 5/16 socket, it's 3/4 inch drive. Yeah, that's rad. Had to get like heavy truck stuff, just because I couldn't find it anywhere else. You might be able to, but I couldn't. But I got just the Harbor Freight set. That's where I was shopping anyways. Okay, those are relatively tight. Let's go find a torque wrench. Torque those. Then those are ready. I can put the axle shaft back in and finally be done having a hole into the freaking differential. It's just open, because that's where we want water to go, is in the hole. Yeah, that's good. I should have torque wrench. So according to the interwebs, this upper nut goes to 69 foot-pounds. A good number, nice and round. Downside to a 1/2 inch torque wrench, 3/4 inch drive socket. Yeah, it doesn't work. So you also got to get the 1/2 inch to 3/4 adapter. Excellent. There we go. How are we for lined up? Oh, we're real close. Just give it a scooch. Little bump, little bump. Nice. All right, now the fun one is this one, because there's not a whole crap ton of space in here to get this whole mess on there. How did I do it? On the other side. I got real lucky with the angle of the dangle somehow. There we go. Oh, and it would help if I set this to the recommended torque setting of 150. Because if we only took that to 69, that's going to be an issue. And I'm pretty sure I meant to put some Loctite on these. Bugger. Well, this one's snug anyways. That's gonna have to come on, there we go. That one doesn't really need it. That one I feel like I want to put just a dab on. All right, we got our Loctite stick. We got the red one. It wasn't asking wrench. Big old socket. 150 foot-pounds is probably isn't super necessary, but we've seen what happens when ball joints come apart before when we were working on the Toyota. So we're going to take, ow, this red, and just the little bottom of it, just give it the lightest, no, that's more than I wanted. Just trying to do like a real light dab will do you. Because inevitably when I've done this wrong a week and a half from now, I would like to be able to get it back apart. Ugh. Yeah. There we go. There's just a touch on there. Just enough to make it super incredibly frustrating 3 weeks from now or 6 months from now when I have to do this again. Okay. Now that is torqued. I'm going to find a paint pen so I can mark it and make sure it stays torqued. This guy gets a brand new cotter pin. A pair of pliers would be nice. That'd make life a little bit easier. Okay, we'll get pliers. But torqued axle shaft. Yes. So here's our cleaned up axle shaft. A brand new seals on it. Cleaned up, all the rust is gone. Spent like an hour going through each and every one of the splines on this end and that end to make sure they were clean. Now, let's go slide it in there. Now, this is where it gets fun. That looks pretty good. So this is the long one. So we gotta try to keep it up going in there. That's gonna be fun. But what I want to do, heavy, keep that out of the dirt. I'm gonna put just a touch of grease on the end here. Probably should have gotten a paper towel out to start this ordeal. Okay. Now for the entirety of this shaft, because I cleaned it with the brake clean, which takes all like the little oils and stuff off, so I don't want it to rust any worse than it's already got this flash rust. So I think the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to get some grease on this hand, support the axle as it goes in, kind of try to put a light, nice, super light coat across the axle shaft just to keep it protected. So grease probably isn't the right thing for this, but it's what we're gonna try. It's probably not good letting that lean like that, but it's gonna happen. Before we get all the way in there, I'm gonna stick a little bit behind this dust seal. Just to try to help seal it better. This might be the part where I need the install tool again. I was hoping this was just gonna slide right on in. Let's try. Where is it? Try just the mallet. I think I want that seal tool because it's pushing on that. BRB. All right. Slide that bad boy on there. All right. It looks like she's just about seated. That might be as good as we're gonna get. I think that's all she wrote for that. Our dust seal back here, looking pretty good. Wish there was another seal that went there, but there's not. We both a hub on it will probably really seat that better. But if nothing else, now we don't have a gaping hole in the axle shaft and the axle housing. Now we got brand new hubs, all brand new brake stuff. So we got to go assemble the hubs and then put it together. Yeah, let's make that happen. Just for a better view, here's that hub. Now, it's been sitting on a few weeks, so the dog hair is on it. That dog hair wasn't there inside the truck. You see how nasty it is. And then if you look right here, see how that's caved in, but it's flat up here. That was a problem. And then this one. This paper towel maybe. Oh, this has other stuff in it that has useful things in it. I need those later. Oh, here we go. It's in all the dog hair. But this wire, which is fairly solid, and this guy, which there wasn't so much, sorry, this guy wasn't for all the dog hair. That clump of grease and junk, it's all a bunch of metal, and I think came out of here. Now, through a lot of research, these guys are just one big dealy bopper that you can't really take just this bearing off and replace. It's basically you got to get the whole new thing. So here's our brand new ones. According to the internet, if you want to go with this Timken brand, which is supposed to be pretty good, there's your part number for a 2000 Ford F-250 particularly. I don't think I need any of that. Ooh, shiny. That's pretty. Probably heavy. Yep, this is going to be a two-hand deal, so I don't drop it. Hold on. Bolts, seal, cardboard protector stuff. Ooh, constructions. Cool. Alright, so this is the brand new shiny hub. Now, just make sure that part number, you've got a caveat. There's two different part numbers. One's for fine thread and one's for coarse thread wheel studs. Oops. Oh, I got the new thing dirty. That was dumb. I'm pretty sure I have coarse thread. Yeah. Okie dokie. So we're good there. Still dirty. Gross. That came with new ABS cable, so we'll get to take that apart later. But we have to put in these new wheel studs. Which, to be honest, I looked in the box already. Actually, I think I opened the other one. It was a 50-50 shot. I found out that it didn't come with new nuts. So after much searching, I found new nuts. But we have to install these. So these Timkins come with the studs. The mounting studs to go here. That was something I didn't know, so I bought a bunch from O'Reilly. They're really expensive. We gotta install these guys. So they come with 4 studs and the new O-ring. Got new nuts. We're gonna use the old nuts to put those on, and this will be ready to go on the truck. So new nuts. All right, for everybody that's looking, because it was a freaking pain. That item number there, ordering from a Ford website, comes back with these guys. And that fits very nicely on there. These aren't cheap. They're like $8 a nut or something. I don't remember. But I think it was better than that. So I bought these at the O'Reilly. That guy there. And that came with studs and nuts. I assume they're the right size, but I'd rather use the ones that came with the hub. I needed just the nuts. Well, these guys are like $40 a pop. And I think it was maybe it was $20 for these. I don't remember anymore. But it was a better deal to get those separate. Anyway, now we're gonna take this guy here, our red Loctite chapstick. Some of that on there, probably way more than I need to, because I'd rather this doesn't come off. Thread that down in there, just because I'm going to be weird about it. Clean that up. Now to make sure that snugs up, we're going to take an old nut. Not have it bottomed out. We're going to take another old nut. Now we're going to lock these together with a quick ugga-dugga. Or I'll throw a wrench across the room. Now, that's all locked together. Yee! Hold on to her. Give this a quick ugga-dugga. Oh yeah, well, we're on setting 3, so that's probably pretty good. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So now I'll throw that back on there. Go to reverso. remove the nuts. Mounted. All right, now we just gotta do that 3 more times for this one, 4 more times for the other one. Okay, those are on. Clean these up. Put that on, maybe slap a little bit of grease in it. Bloop. And then I think this is ready to go on the truck with our new nuts. Yes. Okay. So we are ready for hub install. First, since that's nice and clean, let's get some grease just in case. All right. Oh, before the hub goes, that guy. Now, here, that wire pointing up. That's more or less on there. Is enough to get the nuts on? Yeah, it's enough to get the nuts on. Where did I put the nuts? There they are. Yeah, so the cobalt process for this, you have to show proof of purchase. I've had this kit for I don't know how many years, so I don't have proof that I bought it. So you have to call them and get it sold to somebody online and do a form, and then you have to pay shipping. You gotta pay like $9 shipping and handling to get a socket. So I found one at O'Reilly, Napa, I don't know, one of them. It's like $6. It'll work. It'll work. As long as it gets the job done. And I bought a bunch of new impacts. So now I won't be using my nice brittle chrome sockets for the impact stuff. It's almost like I learned something. Almost. I don't think I'm actually going to need this Loctite, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. According to the interwebs, this needs 133 foot-pounds. That turns way. I don't want that turn. Come on now. This was not that hard a little while ago. That's probably not a good sign. My only concern is that axle's not turning super easy, but I guess it doesn't really need to. Maybe it's not supposed to turn easy. Like I said, I'm gonna have to take this apart later for some reason. Let's put our little merry band of washers back. What I think is the right order. I'll Google that in a minute. Okay. Ta-da. It's got a brand new ABS sensor. I'll unplug from back there. That's quite nice. I'm guessing the reason the axle's harder to turn right now is because this axle shaft was more difficult to seat all the way into the housing, and the seal in here was a little bit further out, so it's the wheel hub is just pressed against it more, and it'll loosen up in time. Hopefully. Yeah. Done. Go put the little locking piece back in here. The locker, auto thing. Yeah. And then we can start on brakes. Sweet. Ready. Take this guy. Grease it up a little bit. Don't know if I'm 100% supposed to, but it seemed like a good idea. That sits in there. Take this lock and ring dealy bobber. Ta-da! Yeah, I think that's all just newness. Cool. Now, whoa! Almost lost you guys. Y'all okay? Make sure you're okay. Can you see? Okay. That was close. You almost died. Okie dokie. It is new brake time. So we got the bolts. I need that 21 again. Probably that guy. So here's our big, new, beautiful, fancy, shiny, pretty brake caliper mounting bracket. This is a kit that I got. It's a PowerStop kit. It does all four. Because my wife told me when she's trying to stop the trailer with the horse in it, she doesn't feel like she can stop. So we're upgrading the brakes in addition to replacing the ball joints. And yeah, so again, there's a PowerStop kit that does all four. Got no sponsorship, no affiliation with any of this. PowerStop, the Harbor Freight, nothing. It's just a dude trying to do stuff on a budget. And while the whole kit for all four isn't cheap, like $1,200, something like that. I think that's right. Something. It's been like a month, 6 weeks since I bought it. I don't remember. Anyways, that seems like a lot cheaper than the truck towing a trailer with horses in it going through an intersection and hitting something when they're supposed to be stopped. So new brakes it is. We got new bolts to mount them. What's funny is what actually led to this is on the other side. I was doing it to start with. The old caliper, I snapped one of these caliper bolts. And when I went, oh crap, I have to go to the store again, that's when she said, well, why don't we just put new brakes on it? Oh, okay. Ooh, before I do that, before we do the caliper, we need to do a rotor. Oh, it's heavy. Ah. Yeah, so what I was saying about this being a PowerStop kit, it's the whole 9 yards. These fancy, ooh, that was really bright. These drilled and slotted rotors, the calipers, the caliper mounting brackets, the whole thing. Even though I'm going to end up touching this again, I'm going to wipe it down. Get any machining stuff off of there. That would have been the saddest thing in the world. Somehow that lug pattern was different. I probably would have cried. Okay. There's that. Now we can take this and those bolts. Right? Am I crazy? I'm crazy. It's just because it's leaning. And yes, I do realize that these brackets would be easier to put on without the caliper on them. However, I want to bench bleed this guy. I want to bench bleed this caliper before I actually put the brake lines on it, and that's easier if it's mounted, because I did the other one dismounted with this on the bench. That was a pain. Okay, so if that's relatively held on there, let's actually snug it down, because I'm semi-worried about this fit before I do Loctite. Anyways, since these came with a little bit of red Loctite on them, I don't trust that, because it's all dry. So we're gonna get our little chapstick here. Oh, okay, so I guess that kind of reactivated, but just for good measure, a little extra dab. Because brakes are important. All right, so to avoid what I did last time, turn this to 1, Nice and still. These are bigger. Are these 21? So 21. Nice and still. I'm just lazy. That makes it easier. Not that one, this one. Crap. Yeah, I guess it actually did semi-wake up a little bit better than I thought it would. But there we go. So what I talked about, I'm gonna have to take this all apart again. Yeah. I'm gonna regret this life decision later. Okay. We'll Google torque specs on that. Look how pretty it is, though. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Pretty. All right. I need to find the real Ugga-Dugga. All right, so according to the interwebs, 166 is the number we're looking for. If that sun wasn't so bright. 150, 66. I can't wait to do this again. Alrighty, next step is going to be quote unquote bench bleed this bad boy. Once that's done, we'll hook the line to it, clean up from that, and then we'll put pads in. And then this side will, is that done? That might be done. It doesn't seem right. There should be at least 3 more days worth of work for me. Yeah. Yeah, on that note, while this has taken me like 6 weeks, this is definitely a weekend project if you just sit and do it. And have parts. The 17 trips to the parts store that I've done is not great. It takes time. But yeah, this is like a weekend thing. It's me being busy with other stuff that's made it take so long. So I don't think that this is actually like that crazy. This is definitely something you can do with tools at home. All right, get the stuff to bleed this and rock and roll. Probably should have done this part on the workbench. That would have been smart. All right, so the plan here, not to fall down. Plan here is to take our little break, bleeding tool. We're primarily working by ourselves. And this is set to pump. If I put a different end on that, I can do that. I'll just do this way. So that goes on the bleeder. That goes kind of upright. And then we pump some fluid. Potentially. Okay. Apparently we had pressure. That's not good. That's brake fluid everywhere. And that stuff's caustic. Great. Apparently we weren't open enough on the bleeder screw. Well, this should be fun. Okie dokie. Well, we've done some cleanup. Hopefully didn't destroy too much stuff. We'll find out. Let's try this again. Hopefully with a little bit less drama. Oh goody, just in time for the wind to start picking up. So it's kind of bubbling up through our hole in here for where the line actually attaches. Just trying to get all the air out that I can. Now we're going to undo this bolt here and try to very quickly take the brake line and put it on the new caliper. Now, I'm probably supposed to do it when it's attached, so there's something to leverage against. Okay, there we go. Oh boy, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. It's leaking and I'm not ready. Okie dokie. So according to the internets, this guy here gets torqued but somewhere between 25 and 37 foot-pounds, and our bleeder screw back in here is like 18 inch-pounds or something. So we're going to snug that down, give that a little extra ugga-dugga. The actual caliper pin bolts, I think, what did it say those were for? Like 49 something, 40 foot-pounds. I only got a 50-pound torque wrench, so a little blue Loctite and Gooden tight torque, it'll be fine. But we're going to do this guy, and then we're going to pull the caliper off, put the pads on. Well, before we put the pads on, we'll clean the rotor because this has been sitting out for a little bit, and I probably just sprayed brake fluid all over it. So we'll clean that, torque, remove, clean, install brake pads, put the caliper back on, hook all this wiring stuff up because our new hubs came with that new wire, and this side should be done. What I'm realized I'm super duper excited for is breaking in the brakes, like seating the pads and stuff. Everything in here is all new, like the rotor, the hub. It's gonna be a heck of a test. It'll be fine, sure. Probably should use safety glasses for this. This side's basically done, I think, minus actually bleeding the brakes. And what I've read is when you're going to replace all four, like I'm going to, so you want to wait till you're done to bleed the brakes. But I'm also going to be doing this by myself with that little pumper tool. So I think what I might do is get all these hoses and wires done. On the other side, because I had to get a new hub, that's a rotor, hub, on this side, I'm going to replace the other one too. So I'll do all that, because I got to basically take it all apart again. Do all that, and then I'll bleed just the fronts. So I can do the pedal, try to push whatever air got into the system out to here, draw it out with that pumper tool wherever I lost it. It's gone. Pull it out with that pumper tool, do both the fronts, and then tackle the rears, I think. Crap, I did it again. So I did this exact same thing on the other side. Exact same thing. Thought about it, went, need to make sure I don't do that. These brake pads use these little springs on the backs. I forgot to put those on. Again. That's pretty, I tell you what. All right, I want you to cast your mind back. When I said at some point I'm going to realize I forgot something, I have to take everything apart again. Well, I got about 2 minutes into taking apart this side, and if you look here, right, tore it all apart, no big deal, right? Super easy, thanks to that guy. What's different here, right? This hub is obviously old, minus a couple of studs that got broken. I replaced a long time ago. What's different? There's this guy. There's this guy. If we come around back to this side, what do we not see? Yep. It's fantastic. So in order to put that dust shield on, so in order to put this dust shield on back here, it goes between the hub and the steering knuckle. Yep. So my day just got 10 times longer. So we'll finish tearing this one apart, put it all back together, hopefully correctly, and then we'll go back over there and redo everything that we've done. I guess I was just too excited to put on that new hub. All right, well, the wind is sick. The wind has picked up significantly. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. But we're done now. We got this side all put back together with that backing plate on there. Really, to take it all back apart, put it back together, only took about an hour with this side and the other side, because I had to replace the hub on the other side, right? Really only took maybe 2.5 hours with a lunch break, so not too bad if you have all the stuff and you just have to take it off, put it back. So yeah, we're back together. We still got the steering unhooked though, because what I'm going to do now, so I still want to be able to move these, and it's time. There we go. There's that little guy. Uh-oh. Where's the little rubber cap for that guy? Oh no. Uh-oh. It's gone. Yep, it's somewhere. We might just steal that one. Crap. Oh well. Anywho. Yeah, well, I don't see it. Okay, well, we're gonna bleed the brakes here and try to get all the air out of these calipers, and then yeah, we'll be done with the front, hopefully. And we can put these new brakes on the back. Well, so the other side's the same as this side, where as soon as I crack it, brake fluid's coming out. I don't know if that means it's bled. pedal feels pretty good by hand. Brake reservoir is doing good. I don't know, maybe we're done. Have to Google it. I'll find out. All right, well, that's it. Brakes are done and bled. Got the missus to come out and do the pedal for me because that just seemed the easiest way to do it. And yeah, it seems bled. I didn't really do much with the pumper thing, so the pedal feels pretty good, at least in this state. So we're gonna put everything back together and yeah, hopefully we're done. If I remember right, this side needed the other side undone to be able to get up and in here. It's a little difficult to do from one end. Yeah. All right. Now, since we didn't mess with the steering linkage, we should be okay on our geometry, like our left and right, toe in, toe out kind of stuff. That's all right, I'm just rolling around in brake fluid still. Ah, the rocks hurt. Okay, find the torque for those guys. I think we're actually buttoned up. We can put wheels and tires back on. Maybe take it for a test drive before we do the rear brakes so that we have some brakes. Some brakes. That'd be good. Okay. Torque these. Done. It's only been like 2.5 months working on this an hour at a time. I'm not gonna know what to do with myself anymore. Okay. Oh man, noises. Internet says 52 foot-pounds. That's crazy. On these guys. Okay. Now, the actual important part. Are we lined up? Ooh, we are lined up. We're lined up quite well. Am I right in your way? Okay, I'm right in your way. Counter pins. Probably needs the big ones out of the assortment. That wind sure is annoying, isn't it? I don't know if it feels annoying for you guys. It sure is annoying for me. All right. Ta-da! All done except wheels and tires. Maybe a test drive. I think that's everything. I feel like that should have been freer. And it does. Maybe I'll fix it once the truck starts up. Its pump's running and such. All right, let's clean up all our junk. Throw our tires back on. Well, we got the tires on, and we've driven the truck around a little bit, and everything's working great. No grinding sounds, like everything sounds good. I mean, as much as you can hear over a diesel. The brakes work absolutely fantastic. The only small issue I'm having after, I don't know, probably 50 miles or so test drive is it's pulling pretty hard to the right. And I don't know if it was doing that before because the ball joints and the steering was so terrible. I don't know, because we were just weaving down the road constantly. So we're going to try to figure out why it's doing that. We got a little bit of light left in the day. And yeah, start off with air pressure. And then we're going to pull the tire off and see if we can't see anything that's wrong and why it might be doing that outside of alignment. Because the alignment shop, when I took it in previously, said the alignment was good. So we'll see. Everything in here looks all right. Nothing in here is moving. Is it supposed to? Maybe that's our problem. Maybe it's locked up in 4. I don't want to drive it like this, though, to see. I could switch these, put this on that side, and then try it again. But like trying to look at the brakes, like, wonder if the brakes are dragging. Let's throw this back on for now. Before we do that, I'm going to go pull the other one off. Let's pull the other one off, see what it does. Because, let's see, you guys can see this. Inside this hub here, there looks like some of the little flaps in there. I think on the other side, when I pulled it apart, initially moved when I turned it, and nothing happens. So let's go see if anything happens with the other one. Really should have gotten them pliers. All right, getting pliers. Way easier. Ugh. Okay. So I think the other hub is broken. And it's locked. Okay. So, yeah, let's see if we can get y'all to be able to see this and the camera to focus. So what's actually changing in here, it's hard to see. It's really hard to see. Not quite enough daylight left. So if you look in this lower hole here, there's like a plastic flap and then a little piece of metal just below it as I'm holding it. So when this is locked, I'm sorry, right now it's unlocked. So when it's unlocked, see how there's a gap? Like that little metal piece is lower than like what looks like a plastic flap. Now, if I lock it, come on, focus, yes. Now see how that piece of metal is like right up almost even with the end? Come on, camera. You can do it, little buddy. You can do it, camera. Come on. Come on, there we go. See it move down? I don't think the other side did that. I'm gonna go grab it. Okay, I was wrong. It looks like it does it. So it locks, unlocks. Bugger. But like, listen to this. Like, that sounds bad, right? I seriously might try to just switch these and see what that does. Ooh, that felt weird. I mean, it locked. Unlock. Lock. And it like clicks. Will the other side do that? Unlocked. Locked. Okay, yeah, it does do that. Yeah, I'm thinking we might just switch lockers, or like the hub lock things. Try, I don't know. For now, I'm gonna leave them. We'll pull the tire off on the other side, just see if there's anything wonky going with the brakes. Well, it looks all right. That's weird. Easy, 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 tight. The rotor doesn't look like it's gotten crazy hot or anything. I just don't know. Like what? So if I lock that, that shouldn't make a difference. Unless the vacuum's telling it to, which it shouldn't be. I mean, it very well could just be alignment. Like with the wheel. Other than the wheel trying to walk off, it doesn't feel like anything's wrong with it. I mean, short of checking the other side, like that seems pretty good, right? I'm not crazy. I guess there is a little bit of noise coming from somewhere. It does almost sound like there's some sort of noise coming out of the hub. Can you hear that? Like a little trrr. I really don't want to have to take the whole hub off again. That kind of sucks. But we might have to. Just to see. I was like looking in here, right? There's obviously nothing wrong here. It's all nice and fresh and shiny. I swear this was not moving before. Well, now that we've done all this, put it back together, test drive it again. If it still pulls, I'm going to switch these hub locks, whatever, see if that does anything. And if it doesn't, then we'll pull this apart again so we can get to the rest of the hub that's underneath the brake rotor. Well, that's about going to do it for us for this go around with Blackie. Still can't quite figure out what's going on with it pulling to the right. So we're gonna just kind of keep experimenting. I've got the lockers switched around, see if that makes a difference. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Eventually we'll get to the brakes on the back, maybe change out the gear fluid and the diffs, and we'll keep going. But that's it for this time. See you next time on Any Given Garage.